G'day everyone and welcome back to another video on my channel, Nintendo Down Under. Nintendo 64 consoles right behind me. In 2022, is it still worth buying them? Can you still find them? I also want you guys in the comments down below as this video progresses. Tell me about some of your best deals lately, some of your best buys, what Nintendo 64 consoles you have in your collection. Because I'll be quite honest, right off the bat, buying Nintendo 64s in 2022 is a hell of a lot harder than buying, say, Nintendo 64 consoles back in, say, 2018. The prices, it's getting crazy. The rarity, it's getting harder. People are locking down on their consoles, but they are still out there. Some deals can be found. Some things you will have to pay lots of money. We'll go through all of this right now. So if you're trying to get into the collecting market now, you need to sit down and work out with yourself, why do I want to collect these Nintendo 64s? Do I want a Nintendo 64 to play? Because if you want it to play, we have options now with the Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pack. Nintendo 64 games are coming to your Nintendo Switch. It is very limited though. There are some great, amazing Nintendo 64 games out there, and obviously the expansion pack only has a few dozen good games at the moment. But if you're like me and you want to collect Nintendo 64 consoles because you just love the look of them, they're your favorite system, you love collecting, you love Nintendo, you love the colors, then definitely consider these things. Money will be a factor in your decision. The basic Nintendo 64 box console, do you know what? That price has leveled out. I'm talking Australian prices right now. You can find a good deal for $300 to $400 of a basic Nintendo 64 grey console in pretty good condition. Yes, Australian dollars, not American or North European or whatever other money. This is Australian currency. Nintendo 64 with colors. Now we're getting a little bit tricky. Back in the day when I collected Nintendo 64, there were colors everywhere. I could go online and I could find a jungle green, an ice blue, a grey purple, a fire orange. I could find 2 or 3 different varieties of this console for different prices, different conditions. And if you weren't happy at the time with, oh, my bank account's looking a little bit low, I won't spend it this week, or I'll wait for a better condition, you could absolutely do that back in 2016, 18, 15, 14, 12, whatever. But now the game has changed. If you see, say, a fire orange console online now, it may be and probably will be the only one on there. And because it's the only one online, people can demand some silly money. COVID, we drove up the prices of these Nintendo 64 consoles. People were at home, people had extra money because they weren't spending it and going out. They were bored. Nostalgia's getting bigger and bigger as time's getting on, and they wanted to buy back their childhood, so the prices of these things went up. If you were a seller at the time, then you were laughing. Games, consoles, controllers, everything retro, people wanted it. But for me, if you're a collector, it made things hard if you've been collecting for a long time, because all of a sudden it dried up and people wanting to get into the collecting game now, it's made it even harder and trickier for them. So yes, if you do see a fire orange or a jungle green, then chances are that will be the only console. I will say this though, the prices have definitely leveled out and calmed down. A boxed fire orange console, a jungle green, a watermelon, well, not a watermelon red, ice blue, I could have picked one of them up 5-6 years ago for a couple of $100 box complete in really good condition. Now you're looking at $600, $700, $800 for these things, and some of these consoles are not in that good condition. But what about if you don't want colors and you just want special edition variants? There are so many. Guys, there are so many different special edition variant Nintendo 64 box consoles from all around the world that you could add to your collection. Some are stupid prices. There is, for example, right now a Banjo-Kazooie Nintendo 64 console on eBay, which has been on eBay in Australia for a long time now. The box has seen better days. It's quite beat up, it's quite rough. That seller has put it up for $5,200. Can you believe that? $5,200. And there is a ton of people watching it because they want to see, will it go to auction, will it drop, people just maybe will have some spare money and go it one day. That's crazy money, and the condition of the box really isn't that good. But there are exceptions to these special edition variants. You can sometimes find some Japanese imports from Japan which aren't too expensive. Some Pokemon ones, yeah, fair enough, they can be quite expensive, but there are other ones, some Japanese plain Nintendo 64 boxes, you know, that are different to the North American and Australian and European. They have a different color variant. The box looks a bit more funky and cool. You can pick that up for sometimes $100, $150. So if you wanted to start your collection there, some of the basic colors in Japan with your ice blue and the pinky watermelon red with the transparent white bottom, they can go quite cheap as well. But when it comes to your Pikachu or Pokemon ones, well, they can be quite expensive. I have sometimes seen these ones go pretty cheap. Again, back in say 2016, if you wanted to pick up a Pikachu console, a couple of $100, easy, I did it. Now you're looking at maybe $400 or $500, which isn't too bad, but some I've seen are going for crazy prices. So sometimes the import way is the way to go. But in saying that, some of the imports, say the European, the Scandinavians, well, those prices, like I said, are insane. You're looking at a few $1,000s for some of these rare, awesome Nintendo 64 consoles. Me personally, when I'm collecting Nintendo 64, when I'm looking at my wall, it's a great wall of Nintendo 64, but I want to see it expand, I want to grow it. And now me growing it is getting extremely tricky, because some of these special edition variants, the Scandinavian variants that I don't have, they are just locked down. They're not even on eBay. You look for them, they're not there. These sellers, the collectors, they are holding on to these tight. I am too. I've got some really rare variants here that there's only a couple of hundred made in the world, and I'm holding on to them. I don't want to sell them. So other people are exactly the same. So if someone wants to get one of those consoles off me, they would have to offer above and above and above, because I don't want to sell it. I want these consoles. I don't want to get rid of them. Other people, that collectors like me, are very similar. Sometimes you can persuade people with trades and deals, and sometimes you got to be lucky. I've been lucky, and this is probably my best tip right now, being in the right place at the right time, knowing the right people. Sometimes it doesn't matter what we do in life. You could be a great movie actor, you could be a street sweeper, you could be a Nintendo collector. One day you're going to wake up and go, hey, gee, do I really want to keep doing this? Then people reassess their life and go, I have had enough. I want to do something else in my life. I want to sell up this stuff. I'm going to sell it. And you need to be there ready. You need to be ready and know those people when they want to sell their collection. Instead of going through eBay or whatever, they can go privately to you and you can get it for them for a great deal, because they don't looking to rip people off. They want, most people, not everyone, most people I know want their collection to go to another collector who's going to take pride and look after it. And yes, right behind me I have 38 box complete Nintendo 64 consoles, because that's what I love to do. I love to collect. I want to keep getting it. It's getting harder, it's getting it trickier. 12 months ago, I'd go online, I wouldn't even see a basic grey box Nintendo 64 online for sale. We'd see a one or two and they'd be going for stupid price. I'm like, what are we doing? We are the ones that are driving the price up. We are making the market more expensive. It's us that's doing it. Since the Nintendo 64 expansion packs come out and got announced, I reckon that's plateaued out, because a lot of people sold off their childhood and now they want to re-buy it back, but they go, hey, I don't need to buy that old looking Nintendo 64 toaster machine. I can buy the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack. The Nintendo 64 console, be cool to own. I had one of these, but I'll plug it into my smart TV and it won't look very good. Whereas the expansion pack, you're cool, you're cruising, but in saying that, it doesn't have every game. So there's some certain games that you just played all the time that may not be popular games, but to you they were the best. Then that's where buying a Nintendo 64 and those games comes in handy. And if you're watching this video today and you're thinking, maybe it's time that I've had enough of the Nintendo 64 game, I've had enough of the Nintendo collecting game, I want out, I want to get best value for buck. Well, now is the time, because it is absolutely peaked out. It's not going any higher, it is leveled out. If anything, potentially prices will start to come down a little bit, because I've seen the same few consoles online for sale for a while now. People aren't jumping at them. People are looking and say, hey, no, that's too expensive. Drop it down before I jump at that. So if you are thinking about selling your collection of Nintendo 64, well, maybe now is the time. And then I'll be there to buy them all. And last thing I want to point out today is right now you need to sit down with yourself and make a plan and goal. If you want to start collecting Nintendo 64, it's going to take time, it's going to take money, and it's going to take a bit of patience. But set basic goals. When I started collecting Nintendo 64, a very, very long time ago. All I wanted was the 16 color variants. I thought I'll have a display cabinet in my house with 16 color variants of the Nintendo 64 from around the world. That'll look so cool. Well, that display cabinet turned into this crazy hobby that I do now with my channel and this collection. Insane. I remember I got like a jungle green, an ice blue, a great purple, and I thought, no, I want the boxes now. So the 16 color variants turned into collecting 16 complete in-box Nintendo 64 consoles, which took a bit of time. When I finally achieved that, I had all 16 color variants from around the world complete in-box. I had to keep going. I was like, well, now I want some really cool special editions. I want Banjo-Kazooie. Banjo-Kazooie is my favorite game. I need to have that, and I'll stop there. Well, no. Then I kept going and I kept finding, and then I decided, well, I've got the 16 color variants of Australian Power. Maybe I'll get different regions. For now, I've got, you know, the European Power colors. I'm trying to collect all of them. And my very end goal, and I don't think I will ever achieve that, but it's good to have a big goal, a dream, a plan. I would love to own at least one of every complete in-box Nintendo 64 console from around the world. I would love to own one. I've got 38, and I'm pretty sure there's between 80 to 100 to get. There's so many out there that are just niche, small, not much information on, maybe a couple of hundred made. It's gonna be crazy hard, but that is what I want to do. So make sure in the comments down below you let me know, like I said earlier in this video, your collecting stories, bargains you've found, Nintendo 64s you've got, ones you want to add, do you want to sell, what do you think of the market? Let me know in the comments down below, because it's always evolving, changing every year, from collecting to money spending to selling. It's always changing. You always got to keep up to date with it. I try and keep a good eye on the market. I don't want to spend stupid money, but I'm also saving some money for when a really rare Scandinavian, only a couple of hundred made console comes up, which I may never see again in my life. I need to know I've got a little fun there where I can go bang, I'm going to buy that, I'm going to add that to my collection. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and until next time, take care.